crazy from Eddie Hernandez.
I like the rhymes.
All of us are born with the miraculous ability to determine the direction.
Hey everybody, welcome to GAW Dark on this beautiful Wednesday. I mean, it might be beautiful. I don't know where you are. I don't even know if it's beautiful where I am. But it is beautiful inside the former home of the WCW power plant, where GAW Dark emanates from every single week. And we begin with Ulysses Sky, the man who last time we saw him was being humbled by the debuting Santanico. After Ulysses Sky called out anyone that he thought he could beat, Santanico came out and absolutely just destroyed this man. So Ulysses Sky looking to get back on track here, certainly. Flyboy, we last saw him on the last episode of GAW Academy Storm Chaser. Go and check that out if you haven't seen it already. We saw some big-time matches and a big-time announcement for GAW Academy Storm Chaser. Of course, if you missed any of that, head on over to our website, generaladmissionwrestling.com, to read up on it. Flyboy, let's see him here. Let's see if he's recovered. Now, of course, by that, I mean that Flyboy teamed with Mexican Shia in the main event. The two got together and formed a kind of temporary partnership to take on Lighter and Dagonite, and unfortunately, those two behemoths were on the same page and they had struck up a much better chemistry than I think many had realized at first. So the two giants absolutely ran through Flyboy and Shia. And Flyboy put up his dukes. He did the best he could, but unfortunately, there's only so much you can do against men that big. Code red here from Flyboy. First pinfall attempt of the match, and Sky kicks out. Flyboy trying to get himself back in this thing. Certainly, Flyboy has a more positive outlook on his career than Ulysses Sky does. But it's tough for Flyboy coming off a match as physical as the one he had against Lighter and Dagonite. There's no doubt about that. Sky trying to carry him, maybe drop him on one of those barricades. Flyboy goes for the forearm strike. Sky reverses. Both men back in the ring now. And Flyboy, a nice snapmare from the Australian, and now into a grounded side headlock. Flyboy may be competing for a spot on the Academy Storm Chaser Sydney card. Of course, Flyboy was born in Melbourne, so not too far from Sydney in the vast continent of Australia. Flyboy driving the head of Ulysses Sky right into the top turnbuckle. Just going to work on one of the more arrogant men in GAW, certainly in the GAW Academy anyway. Flyboy, oh, he did this to Lighter as well. Rolling Santanico. Beautifully done, and a standing shooting star press. Flyboy looking fantastic right now, showcasing that athleticism that he is so known for. Probably the second best athlete in the company, next to Kurt Andrews, going for the cover now, and Sky kicks out. Able to defend himself against that vicious combination that Flyboy just put him through, and Flyboy ascends to the top. Flyboy looking for the Flyboy bomb, and Ulysses Sky out of the way. Both these men use a jump off the top rope to finish their matches. That one Flyboy missed, and Sky now sends him into the corner. Sky with an elbow and a step up enziguri. Very well done from Ulysses Sky, and now Flyboy to his feet. And Sky may have been looking to set up his submission that he called, that is the triangle armbar. Flyboy into a DDT. And now Flyboy will once again make the journey up top. Flyboy sees him in the flight zone. And again, the Flyboy bomb misses. And Ulysses Sky, he's going to take Flyboy for a ride right now, showcasing his strength. He does have the strength and size advantage right now over Flyboy. A big swing, and it leaves him for dead in the middle of the ring. Ulysses Sky thinks he has one over on Flyboy right now. No! Fans loving the big swing. Made world famous by former GAW Intercontinental Champion Cesaro. now over in Reign of Chaos Wrestling over on Twitch. And Sky has Flyboy up again. Oh, looking for a Death Valley driver. Flyboy out of the way. Flyboy flips out of it. More evidence of his incredible athleticism. 2 straight drop kicks. Sky down. Flyboy now into an armbar. Flyboy wrenching back on the elbow of Ulysses Sky. Sky's foot so close to that bottom rope. And Sky may have used it actually to flip himself over and wrenches his arm free. Got a couple parting shots on his way out as well. Sky goes for the single underhook, but Flyboy spins his way out of it. The quickness of Flyboy on display as it always is. Flyboy going up top is 3rd time's the charm. He has him in his sights. Flyboy bomb, and he cannot connect. That Flyboy bomb not doing the job right now against Ulysses Sky. We have yet to see Sky go for the Sky elbow, and now Sky comes off the top rope. Oh my goodness. How well done, and he's gonna keep going. Flyboy made it to his feet, and again, Sky ducks the lariat, and now Sky with a double mushroom stomp. Driving a lot of power right into the chest of Flyboy, and now Sky has him up into the fireman's carry once again. Death Valley driver. That time he hit it the 2nd time. 1 stomp to keep Flyboy down, and now another cover from Sky. Kick out at 2. Oh, we have been treated to a tremendous opening match so far on this episode of Dark. I wasn't sure I was expecting a match of this quality, although I don't know why I would. Sky elbow, and Flyboy out of the way. So both men have failed in those top rope moves. Ulysses Sky has a triangle armbar submission that he uses to great effect. We'll see if he tries to pull that one out. Flyboy uses a very innovative top rope neck breaker that he calls the missile drop. We'll see if he breaks that one out. Ulysses Sky rolls him over after washing his face with that boot, and Flyboy kicks out again. You can tell this is a battle between 2 guys who feel like they really need a win right now. Ulysses Sky has lost 2 in a row. Flyboy's lost his only singles match so far, and Flyboy with the missile drop. That one, the grounded version, but the missile drop does connect, and Flyboy going for a big cover, and Sky kicks out. The missile drop not as effective as the Flyboy bomb. Sky with a nice takedown, has Flyboy on his back, and now Sky, oh my God, Sky going to work on the head of Flyboy. Some grounded pound from Ulysses Sky, and now Flyboy answers with a big lariat. Not much is known about the background of Ulysses Sky. He claims to have invented indoor pyrotechnics, which I have noticed he doesn't actually use in his own entrance, so take that for what it's worth. Flyboy catches the lariat and a neck breaker. Working on that neck of Ulysses Sky, coming up on the 3-minute mark now on Dark. Flyboy sends him into the corner. Sky replaces himself. Flyboy sends him back. And now Flyboy dumps Sky right through the ropes. And Flyboy, oh look at this. Flyboy is a former U.S. Naval Anglico. He aimed big guns for a living, and now he's got this one dialed in. DDT right through the ropes goes Flyboy. A move made famous by a friend of his and one of the most famous names in the history of the GAW Academy, Yun-Son Park. Park will be facing Eddie Hernandez at Storm Sydney one last time. We'll have more information about that match on Academy Storm Chaser episodes to follow. Make sure you're subscribed right here on YouTube so that you don't miss any of the news when it comes to one of our most anticipated matches of the year. Both men back in. We're coming up on 2 minutes right now. Flyboy showcasing that agility. Backflips out of the way of Sky returning to the ring. Flyboy into the corner. Sky out of the way. Sky comes in, couple big stomps to the chest, and now Sky over the top rope and a guillotine leg drop. Now Ulysses Sky will make the long journey up top once again for the 2nd time. Oh, went for the splash, did not go for the Sky elbow. Sounds like the fans maybe would have wanted to see the Sky elbow, but the splash hoping to get the job done. Ulysses Sky, his feet are up on the 2nd rope, but Flyboy muscles him away, and you can see Flyboy bleeding from underneath that face cover. Under 90 seconds to go. We have yet to see a draw on this season of GAW. Either on Storm or on Stormbreaker or on Dark. I don't think either of these men would like to be part of the first. but it's looking increasingly like we might see it. Sky sends him flying with a huge boot. 1 minute left in this match. Flyboy has gone for the Flyboy bomb 3 times. He's missed all 3. Ulysses Sky has gone for the triangle armbar and the Sky elbow both once. He's missed them both. Flyboy hit the missile drop. Ulysses Sky kicked out. So now the question is, what more do they have coming up on 30 seconds left now? Flyboy sends him up top, and Flyboy, he could be looking for exactly what I told you. Oh no, he was looking for the top rope version of the missile drop. Ulysses Sky saw it coming, and Sky with a diving somersault. Almost like the Flyboy bomb to a standing Flyboy. Sky going for a cover, no! Sky will have time for one last move here with 10 seconds left. Flyboy knows it's coming, and Flyboy with a big drop kick. Maybe time for one more cover. We'll see if Flyboy goes for it. He's lost track of the clock, and we are going to get a draw. First draw of the year in GAW, and it's between 2 guys who feel like they really, really needed a win. We'll see what happens next for both Flyboy and Ulysses Sky. Coming up next, Keith Lee. He'll be taking on Aleister Black in just a couple days. He's got a tune-up match here against Buddy Murphy. Now, Keith Lee, as I mentioned, has a match coming up against world champion Aleister Black to open up the show in just a couple days on Friday Night Storm. Keith Lee, the last time we saw him, went up against Drew McIntyre. It was a terrific match on Storm, and Lee came up just short, courtesy of a Claymore by McIntyre. But Lee will still get his opportunity against the world champ, and he can really throw things into question with a win. Of course, Walter is the #1 contender for the world championship. We saw him win that honor in a 4-way match on the last episode of Storm, but Keith Lee can certainly enter his name into that fray with a win over Black. So this will be a good time for Lee to really dial it in here. Buddy Murphy, on the other hand, kind of a man on an island without a country. I've used that analogy before, I think specifically for Buddy Murphy as well, and the reason is because Murphy, you can see he's still attached to that Blade Runner group. He still has the Titantron with the Blade Runner logo. His shirt still has the Blade Runner logo on it, but the Blade Runners are no more. They disbanded after Nitro 10. Ricky Steamboat, his former manager, retired. So Buddy Murphy, I mean, he's out here now, kind of a lost soul. Unfortunately, this would be a big win if he is to pick it up here against Keith Lee, but Murphy just trying to figure himself out right now. Both these guys have started 0-1 this season. Both had winning records in season 1 as well, so these are 2 guys who, clearly know what they're doing, and in Keith Lee's case, he did get a win at Nitro 10. While Murphy's group was dissolved after a loss, Keith Lee did get a win, but it was an incredibly emotional and an incredibly taxing one against his former best friend and tag team partner, Matt Riddle. We have yet to see Riddle since that time, but Keith Lee has not been the same since it happened. And you can see it against McIntyre. He just misses that flow. He misses that jaw-dropping athleticism, and I think it is a mental thing that Keith Lee is struggling with right now. Murphy sends him into the corner. Lee catches the boot, and Lee's first offense is a massive ham hock of a clothesline. Doesn't buy him much good. Murphy out of the ring. Murphy, a terrific athlete in his own right, tremendously strong for a man who has spent almost his entire career in the cruiserweight division. He's so quick. Talk about a quick first step, but Lee catches him there, now into the corner. Big corner splash from Keith Lee. Kind of tossing his weight around is Lee, and now first cover of the match for Lee, and it's a kick out. This match at this point would mean a lot more to Keith Lee than it would to Buddy Murphy, given the fact that Lee does have his upcoming match with the world champ. And so this for Lee, if he is to lose here, it would kind of put him on a little bit of a downward spiral mentally. Like I said, he picked up a win at Nitro 10, and normally that will just kind of skyrocket you, but sometimes it doesn't quite work like that. Lee, though, looking to use that speed. 8 pounds to Buddy Murphy. Lee just sends Murphy flying, and now Keith Lee going for a cover here on Murphy, and the former Cruiserweight champ kicks out. When you go through a match as emotional and brutal as the one Keith Lee went through, sometimes you're not all there mentally. This would be a big win for him as Keith Lee hoists up Buddy Murphy. Lee gets him high up into the air. Spirit bomb from Keith Lee. And Murphy dead to rights right now. Keith Lee does get his big win. A needed win for Keith Lee, it must be said. Murphy had the upper hand in the early stages of the match, but ultimately Keith Lee's bruising power took over just about 2 minutes in. A pounce and a spirit bomb, and that was all Lee needed. And after a 10-minute draw that we just saw in our last match between Flyboy and Ulysses Sky, seeing a match as straightforward as this one, it's a little refreshing. I love 10-minute draws as much as the next guy, but Keith Lee, this is a win that he desperately needed, no question about it. Keith Lee, as I mentioned several times, will be taking on Aleister Black on the next episode of Friday Night Storm, so make sure that you tune in to see that. It is the opening match, so you owe it to yourself to watch the festivities there. Coming up next, Kaitlyn Dunlap has suffered 2 upset losses in a row. She hopes to make sure that it won't become 3. Thunderbolt Suzuki could also use a big win right about now. She started 0-1 this season as well, and that's after a pretty disappointing Storm Chaser tournament performance for the Thunderbolt. Suzuki, I've told this story almost every time, but she came in to the GAW Academy as probably the prohibitive favorite to win the Storm Chaser tournament and become the next Academy champion. But right before the Storm Chaser tournament was set to begin, we brought in 3 specific new prospects, all of which were really bad matchups for Suzuki, specifically Catherine and Kristen Sakamoto and Yamamoto. They are all bad stylistic matchups for Suzuki, and Suzuki couldn't beat any of them. It really messed with her mentally, and so she has not gotten off to the career that she would have liked here in GAW, and it has continued into Season 2. Kaitlyn Dunlap, meanwhile, was involved in 2 of the craziest results that I have seen thus far in the GAW Academy. She was on Dark 2 weeks ago, taking on Katana in what was supposed to be a pretty straightforward match for Dunlap, coming off a win over Martina Del Sol. But instead, Katana totally turned the tables, beat Dunlap with a Japanese sword. Dunlap attacked her after the match. Then we got a no DQ match between the two, which Dunlap really wasn't going for a cover or a win or anything. She was just going to cause Katana pain, and that backfired on her in that match as well. That was last week on Dark. Katana rolled her up, and Katana got her second win over the goddess in as many weeks. Dunlap doesn't seem to be showing signs of losing any of that arrogance that she came into the Academy with, but you gotta think that underneath the surface, she is seething. We'll see if Dunlap has a little bit more respect for her. Oh my goodness, Suzuki, like she was shot out of a cannon with that big trip kick to Dunlap, and now Suzuki waits for Dunlap to her feet, and Suzuki runs her over with a knee. Early cover, Dunlap kicks out. We'll see if Dunlap does have a little bit more respect for her competition in this one than she had the last 2 times against Katana. That loss in the no DQ match really shocked me, because it's one thing to go into a match arrogant, which Kaitlyn Dunlap has certainly done before. Famously, she lost to Martina Del Sol in the first round of the Storm Chaser tournament knockout stages. So it's one thing to do that. It's another thing to get that second match and go into that one unprepared. It didn't happen against Del Sol. She got her no DQ match against Soul Food, and Dunlap beat the hell out of Del Sol and won the whole match. Didn't go that way against Katana. Now into the corner with a big leg lariat, and Dunlap with a spinning leg kick to the small of the back as well. Dunlap now on top. You know that Suzuki would absolutely love herself a win right now. Dunlap, oh my goodness! corner stomp right to the chest. Suzuki would love herself a win, especially against Dunlap with how arrogant Dunlap has been. Dunlap, well known as maybe the most arrogant woman in GAW right now. Some of it's deserved, a lot of it is not, we gotta be honest. And so Suzuki, someone who is so proud of her heritage, both as a mixed martial artist and as a professional wrestler. Cover here, Suzuki kicks out. I'm sure she would love to put Dunlap in her place and send Dunlap to a 1-3 record. Not something I think any of us would have expected. Superiority from Kaitlyn Dunlap. She used it against Katana as well, and now Dunlap going for a cover after those double knees. Suzuki kicks out. Dunlap has several moves that she can use to finish matches. Of course, she's most famous for the DDG, the drop dead gorgeous, but maybe the Boston Crab, or I'm sorry, the camel clutch can do something here as well. You can see she didn't get those hands locked around the face. She never got those fingers locked, and so Suzuki, pretty easy to muscle her off. Suzuki uses a devastating and dangerous cross arm breaker that she calls the Legacy, a reference to the fact that she is a third-generation martial artist, a second-generation wrestler. She's a black belt. She's a fourth-degree black belt in karate. None of that's going to help her here, though, as Kaitlyn Dunlap from behind superiority. Borrowed it from the Queen, Charlotte Flair. I don't know if Kaitlyn Dunlap would put it quite that way, but she's trying to use it to win a match here, and Kaitlyn Dunlap puts down Suzuki. And it's must be said, a disappointing loss for Suzuki. You know that she would have wanted to win this thing. For Kaitlyn Dunlap, it's important for her to get back on track after 2 straight losses to Katana, the woman who was the number 8 seed in the Storm Chaser tournament. So it must be said that Dunlap needed to get back on track with this match, and I think she has accomplished that, and she didn't need to use the DDG. She didn't need to use the Kiss My Boot, both of which she tried against Katana. So this is a big win, I think, for Kaitlyn Dunlap here. Suzuki, the question is, where does she go from here? Obviously, you don't know, mentally where she's at right now. And given the fact that we are so stacked in the Academy women's division, of course, Yamamoto going to take on Lazara for the women's championship at Storm Chaser Sydney. A lot can happen right now. So what is Suzuki's place and what is Kaitlyn Dunlap's place? That I don't know. Coming up next, 2 of the most exciting men in the world, Pac versus Rey Fenix. Pac, as I said, one of the most exciting men in the world and a former GAW World Champion. Pac was in the 6-man Battle Royal for Intercontinental Championship #1 contendership, one of the 2 belts in GAW that he has not yet won. So certainly the prospect of being a Triple Crown champion or even winning the Golden Ring has to weigh heavy on Pac right now, as he's done the 2 most difficult parts. He's won the belt that no longer exists. So when it comes to the Golden Ring, he's one of the only men that's still alive in being able to capture that, winning all 4 men's championships in the company. And when it comes to the World Championship, the top title in the entire sport, well, he's won that as well, albeit it was kind of dirty. He won the GAW Challenger briefcase after help from the Evil Alpha. But you know what? A win's a win. He was the world champion, so Pac, there's a way forward for him in his career right now. Rey Fenix, of course, has always towed that line between tag team competitor and singles competitor. He is widely regarded as one of the best singles competitors in the world, and with good reason, because he is so exciting and it is so much fun to watch him go at it, especially with an opponent like Pac. But the question is, does he want to go in the singles ranks, or does he want to continue teaming with Brother Penta as part of the Lucha Brothers? That is really the question. The Lucha Brothers are former tag team champions in their own right, so Rey Fenix, he's had success in this company, but does he want to continue that success as one of the best tag teams in the world, or does he want to transition into the singles ranks? We might find out, but specifically when it comes to a match like this, all we're looking for is just some fireworks, and Rey Fenix can deliver. This is a match much like our opener, just between two guys that could really use a win. Rey Fenix, arm trap going up top, and a beautiful arm drag to start things off. You're watching, I would say, two of the three most talented athletes, pound for pound, in the entire world. Pac and Rey Fenix. Of course, the Lucha Brothers, they featured on Dark, but all the way back on episode 1, the very first ever episode of GAW Dark. The Lucha Brothers battled British Strong Style. It was a brutal match, one which British Strong Style dominated for 15 minutes, and then the Lucha Brothers at the very end turned the tides and picked up a win. So certainly, as a team, they're trending in the right direction. One win in Season 2, 1-0. But for Phoenix and for Pentagon as well, the possibility of a singles run is always open. It's always something that they've entertained. They've always been clear that maybe, possibly, it could be in the future. Phoenix going for an elbow drop to the back of the bastard. Pac out of the way. As far as Pac goes, I think there is no question that he's going to stay as a singles man. Pac doesn't strike me as a tag team competitor. And like I said, he's a multiple-time champion in this company. So there's no doubt that Pac has the pedigree, he has the skills, he has the ability, he has everything that you would want for a guy who's going to make a run at another championship. Now, is he going to make a run at the world title? Would he possibly go after the Intercontinental title? It's hard to say. We know we have number one contenders for both belts. We know that Ricochet is the number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship, and we know that Walter is the number one contender for the world title. Rey Fenix, oh my goodness, balancing on the top rope with a quick kick right to the jaw of the bastard Pac, and now a cover in from Phoenix, and that's all he needs to put away Pac. Phoenix with a characteristically fast start, some lightning-paced offense, again, like we're used to seeing, and of course this move to finish it off, jumps right on the top rope, kicks Pac full-on in the jaw. I think Pac, he might be eating through a straw for a few days after Rey Fenix almost dislocates his jaw with that kick. Good for Rey Fenix, and for Pac, he might have to go back to the drawing board on this one to really figure himself out. Coming up next, the big man Overload. Overload has not gotten off to a great start in GAW, at least in Season 2. No question about it. This is a guy who is 0-2 in singles. He took an intentional count-out loss to Lars Nightfall back on episode 2 of Storm Chaser. I mean, this is not a guy who's in a good place right now in his career. It's always time for a new start, but for Overload, I think he might need a completely new mentality to really get himself figured out right now. Scott Danielson, as I always say, former GAW Academy champion. He was the champion to start out the Storm Chaser tournament, the first ever time that we brought you the GAW Academy on YouTube. And so in a lot of ways, Danielson is one of the men who started what has become the fastest growing promotion in the world, I would say, when it comes to the GAW Academy. Something that no one thought would happen is that we'd be in the position that we are now, and Scott Danielson, having been the champ when this all started, he deserves some of the credit for that. Before we get to this match, I really quick need to show you this photograph that was captured by a security camera just minutes ago, and wouldn't you know it, Kaitlyn Dunlap standing over the prone body of Katana. It seems that Dunlap has found Katana backstage, and Katana's upcoming match with Martina Del Sol has been canceled. Overload needs a win desperately, there's no doubt about it. He took that intentional count-out loss to Lars Nightfall a couple weeks ago, and Nightfall did not take too kindly to it. Nightfall, unlike Overload, he is 2-0, and Nightfall had some very, very strong words for the former world's strongest man a couple weeks ago on Dark when Nightfall took on Ulysses Sky. He beat Sky, and then he told Overload that he would make his life a living hell. Nightfall has since disappeared, but we can confirm that he is back in the arena. And so, from Overload's perspective, he's got to be wondering, is he going to see Nightfall out here? He's probably been treading carefully backstage, knowing that Nightfall is here for a match. That match is actually coming up next. It's Nightfall versus Santanico, which, by the way, that is an incredible, incredible matchup. Overload trying to do some damage to the former champ on the outside here. Overload was very clear. He just got bored of wrestling Lars Nightfall about halfway through their match, and so he just gave up. Walked away, said he would get paid the same either way, which is, I mean, it's not true. There is a winner's purse here in GAW, so he won't get paid the same either way, but does Overload really look like the kind of man that would look at his paychecks as they come in? I don't know. I don't know about that. Overload said he came to wrestling because he wanted more money than he was making as, you know, competing in those strongest man competitions. There's no doubt that he was effective in those competitions, but being a great strong man does not make you a great wrestler. He's finding that out right now. Danielson caught right back into this position from Overload once again, but Overload again cannot hold him for long. Just nothing. Scott Danielson, just nothing Overload can do right now against the big Danielson. And now Danielson, oh my goodness, Danielson into the turnbuckle with the Blade Runner. Tosses Overload head first into the turnbuckle, and Scott Danielson has just made Overload's life a whole lot worse. Not only does Overload have to deal with the fact that Lars Nightfall is here, and the fact that the back of his head just crashed into that top turnbuckle, but also he's got to deal with the fact that he now has his third loss in as many matches. Scott Danielson, it's a big win for him, even though Overload has not put together the best career so far in the Academy. Beating a man of this size with this strength, especially with that Blade Runner powerbomb, that is something for Scott Danielson. Big win for the former champ. Coming up next, as I alluded to, Lars Nightfall against Santanico. What a match we have, and it is right here on GAW Dark. Lars Nightfall was part of one of the most controversial matches we've seen so far, when Overload just left in the middle of their match. Nightfall was winning, by the way, and he had hit a nightmare on Overload. Overload had just barely kicked out. Nightfall was clearly ahead in the match, but Overload just up and left, gifted Nightfall the count-out victory. Nightfall thankfully got his first clean win in GAW, in his GAW career, when he beat Ulysses Sky a couple weeks ago right here in Atlanta. And then afterwards, he had some words for Overload and told him that he will be Overload's nightmare. Well, we have yet to hear of Nightfall attacking Overload or really even getting close to him since then, but maybe that's part of the mental game for Nightfall. Meanwhile, in comes Santanico, a man we've been so high on since he debuted. He debuted a couple weeks ago on GAW Academy Storm Chaser, and he debuted because essentially Ulysses Sky came out and said there's no one out, there's no one in the locker room that can beat me, so anyone come out here and show me, and, well, Santanico did. Ulysses Sky learned to eat his words against Santanico, and this man, a guy who is European trained, a man who is exceptionally dangerous and unpredictable, he's got a match here on Dark, and I'm glad that we brought his pyro as well. It just wouldn't be a Santanico entrance without it. I can't believe we went the duration of both entrances without mentioning that both these men are undefeated. So we're looking at one of these men probably is going to end up with their first loss in the company. And these two guys, really, they're kind of cut from the same cloth when you look at them. They're two big guys. They have athleticism and speed that kind of betrays that size. They're both inked up. They both come from kind of that European brawler style. Santanico uses more submission-based offense than Nightfall does, certainly. But they both come from kind of a brawler background. Both come from the underground scene as well. So these are two guys that are very, very similar, and now Nightfall hoists up Santanico and a tombstone pile driver. Give it. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, please. Unbelievable overload. He just lost his match. How low can he go? Lars Nightfall anticipating that Overload's gonna be running. No. Wait. Overload's right in the ring. Overload is in the ring with the two-man, and now Overload, the referee doesn't see. Overload drives him down. Overload drives down Lars Nightfall, and he is right on out of there. Overload out of here. Santanico went for the cover. Nightfall still kicks out. But the big man has just put a huge obstacle in front of Lars Nightfall. And now Santanico is well on top with a twisting brainbuster. You can see that even for Santanico, it was tough to get Lars Nightfall to his feet. Oh my goodness, Nightfall still fighting back, still trying to do what he can to stay in this match, but after a 400-pounder comes crashing down on you like that, I don't know if there's much life now for Nightfall. Santanico goes over the top in a swinging DDT. Santanico plants Lars Nightfall, going for the cover, no! Nightfall kicks out again. Santanico feels like that was insufficient. Referee doesn't think so, and now you can see the springiness in Santanico up to the top. Nightfall to his feet. Santanico looking for the Hurricane Rana, gets caught and powerbombed. So many moves at the disposal of Santanico. The question is, when will he pull one out? And for Lars Nightfall, the question is, how long can he stay in this thing after the attack from Overload? Sends Santanico into the corner, and a big corner splash, and Nightfall cuts him in half with the running crossbody. Nightfall, just with a little bit of life right now, goes for the cover, and it's an easy kick out. What can the big man do against this European-trained monster in Santanico? Well, this might be it. Looking for a tombstone pile driver again. Santanico turns it around. Tombstone given to Lars Nightfall. Wow, and now Santanico dropping the elbows right across that chest. The chest that was caved in just minutes ago by Overload. And now Santanico from the corner lines him up, gets the knee up, turns Lars Nightfall around, busting him open. Dead man's. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the Crimson Coronation. And what a cover from Santanico. I almost got the move wrong, and I am very, very sorry, because what a move it is. The Crimson Coronation. And when you talk about combining that with a dead man's lobotomy, combining that with the Crimson Abyss dragon style sleeper, I mean, this is one dangerous man. And Lars Nightfall, give him his due, folks. He put up every fight he had, but Overload comes in, and Overload drops the big man with the body cast, and at the end of the day, just nothing Lars Nightfall could do. Santanico remains undefeated. That is certainly not the cleanest win, but I don't think he's the one who enlisted Overload to come help him. I don't know if that man needs any help. Santanico remains undefeated, and coming up next, we go to another man who was undefeated in his GAW career, as short as it may be so far. Midnight is in our main event. Franky Omega recently, of course, teamed with Andrew Wesley to form one hell of a pairing. That is definitely true. But as a singles competitor, Franky has not had the kind of GAW career that he may have expected. This man, however, certainly has. Midnight, a graduate of the Reaper camp just like Franky Omega. Now, they were not in the same class. Franky had graduated Reaper camp before Midnight ever came to begin his training. So those two never met in any kind of training sense. But Midnight has announced himself to the world of GAW in incredibly quick order. He's already, I believe, 3-0 now. And this match, a win here would put him at 4-0. It would be the most wins of anyone in the company. Midnight has shown that he is he is a blunt force object. He is a brute, and he is terrifying in every sense of the word. Now, as I mentioned, Franky Omega has not gotten off to the singles start in GAW that he would have wanted, considering how hyped he was coming in and his history in so many other underground promotions. But even though it is not there in terms of his singles competition so far, it is there in terms of his tag team credentials. He teamed with Andrew Wesley, and the two got a shocking upset win over Woods Club just a couple weeks ago on Storm Chaser. And with the tag team championships now reactivated, and with the tag team division in total flux right now, we don't know who we would consider the favorite for the titles. We don't know who the best teams are. If Omega and Wesley can continue to have that level of chemistry, that level of success that they enjoyed against Woods Club, he might have some gold in his future in the tag team ranks. Not something that I think he initially came here for, but obviously he's not complaining. If he does pick up a win over Midnight here in singles, it might change things for the team of him and Wesley. So let's see how motivated Franky Omega truly is when it comes to this, and if he can withstand the awesome power of Midnight. Now, as I mentioned, same training school for both men. They're both graduates of Reaper Camp. The wrestling school owned and operated by Lancelot. We have several of their graduates here in GAW. These two are two of the best. Midnight with a back body drop. I mention it. Midnight wears the shoulder pad. He's dealt with shoulder injuries in his career, and it's actually the reason why he did not compete in the Storm Chaser tournament. And now Midnight throws it back with an homage to Dusty Rhodes with that elbow drop. Midnight is a student of the game. Anyone you talk to, when you talk about Midnight's early years and when you talk about his training, they talk about how Midnight absolutely is a student of this wrestling game. And Franky Omega with a sliced bread, Midnight kicks out. I've talked to Lancelot, who was Midnight's personal trainer. He runs, of course, the Reaper Academy, but he is also training personally Midnight, and he said that he has always been absolutely shocked with how smart Midnight is, how much of a mind for this sport he really has. And in fact, Omega plants him with a DDT. In fact, he compared Midnight to Peyton Manning. He said he has that level of understanding about the finer points of wrestling and about his position and about, what he needs to be doing at any given second in the ring. And that is praise of the highest order when you talk about someone's intelligence. Midnight now answers in kind Omega's DDT with a DDT of his own. Obviously, Midnight comes in with the incredibly dangerous Sleepwalker, that brainbuster. Now he's got this one as well. An accomplished submission wrestler on top of everything else. Inverted figure 4, but Franky Omega able to roll himself over. The go behind from the arm collector, but Midnight out of the way and a running knee strike. Midnight going for a cover here after a hellacious running knee. Omega kicks out. Because Midnight is so smart, because he understands the sport so well, he knows better than anyone that the arm collector submission could be in his future if he's not careful. Franky Omega used it to pick up a win over Woods Club. It's one of the most dangerous submissions in GAW. It's the submission that gave Franky his own nickname. Midnight looking to make sure that the arm collector is never used. Midnight boot to the gut, hoists him up, looking for Sleepwalker, but Franky Omega comes back down with it. Beautifully done by Omega, and now Omega hoists him up. Omega Theory. Wow, Omega looking to steal one right now from Midnight after getting out. No! Omega Theory couldn't do the job. The Sleepwalker was in, but Franky Omega worked his way out of it, hits the Omega Theory, but now no amount of intelligence, no amount of mental acuity will help when you just are this tough. And now a sit-out power bomb and another kick out. I don't care how smart you are, I don't care how much you know, you need to have a certain level of grit and toughness to be able to kick out of the Omega Theory, and that's exactly what Midnight showed. And now the go behind, and Midnight slams Omega down with the face buster. Omega to his feet again, boot to the gut, and Midnight gonna go for it a second time here, hoists him up, Sleepwalker incoming, no, Franky out of it once again. And Franky looking for the arm. Franky targeting the left arm of Midnight. We know that the arm collector is coming. Omega Theory didn't work, and so surely the arm collector is in the future of the young Midnight. Franky is Midnight's senior by about 8 years. He's had a lot of time in this business, and no amount of intelligence will make up for ring smarts. And now Franky Omega tried to steal one with his feet up on the ropes, and you can see Midnight not too happy with him. They come from the same school. Midnight says, "What are you doing?" And now Franky Omega out of the corner pulls him aside. Franky Omega hoists him up onto the rope. Midnight is caught, and Omega drives by with a big knee strike. Finds his mark square on the jaw of Midnight. Omega, he's targeting this arm. He's targeting that left arm. Pulls it back. We've seen Pentagon use the arm breaker. And now Franky Omega, surely the arm collector is in the future of Midnight, and Midnight catches him. I told you how smart this man is. For as experienced as Franky Omega is, the intelligence of Midnight is always going to help. Looking for that elbow strike, Omega out of the way. Omega going for a suplex. Midnight counters it. What a main event we have ourselves right now. Two men fighting in their absolute primes. These are two guys, and again, Midnight tosses it back with a dusty elbow. Pretending Franky Omega was Steve Corino with that one. Midnight drops him again, and Midnight, for a third time, watches Omega rise to his feet, boot to the gut, third time's the charm, yes! Sleepwalker! Midnight drives in Franky Omega, and Omega's night is over. Omega can go to sleep. Midnight hits him with the Sleepwalker, and we are done. Omega did everything he could to get out of the Sleepwalker. He did it successfully twice, and the first time he was able to hit the Omega Theory with that as well. And Midnight showed his grit and determination by kicking out of the Omega Theory. Franky Omega, he had this match right there. He tried to go for the single arm takedown to lock in the arm collector. Omega thought he had this thing won, but Midnight, too smart, too savvy. And at the end of the day, Midnight has the best record in the company right now in season 2, 4-0 for Midnight. This man is dangerous. Who can take him out? There are only a few undefeated souls left in GAW, at least those that have had more than one match, and Midnight is looking like a tall order for anyone that wants to go against this man. Folks, thank you so much as always for joining us on GAW Dark. Head on over to our website, generaladmissionwrestling.com, for full recaps of every show as they go live. You never have to miss a minute. Subscribe here on YouTube if you want to watch it all. We appreciate you.